Hi guys, this is Coach Todd. What I'm going to do today is going to go through a video on group riding. And we're going to go through some rules and etiquette of what to do when you're riding in a group. So I want you guys to review this if you're coming to my camp or if you're about to take part in one of my outdoor bike classes. It's nice to know all this information before we head out so that you understand how to ride in a group. And I know many of you have been riding with me for years, but it's always nice to have a bit of a refresher on what to be doing in a group. Okay, let's start with the first one. The very first thing I want to mention is we want to keep safety is the primary focus of the ride. We want to make sure that we start safely and we all end up back at the parking lot nice and safe. So that's the first thing we want to think about is everyone being safe. So now we got to think, okay, so if you are going to be drafting or if you're going to be riding in a group, what is a safe distance to ride? So if you're brand new to the group, or brand new to riding with people and you're uncomfortable being close to someone, I suggest keeping 5 or more feet away from the rear tire of the person you're following. Now, if you're an experienced rider and you've been riding many years, you can keep between 1 and 2 feet between the riders. Okay, we want to stay alert. So what that means is if you are behind and you're following someone, just pay attention to the ability of the rider, especially in the morning. I find in the morning people are not too focused. We're kind of focused on just chatting or even just waking up. So just watch and give people a little bit of space, and they might be swerving a bit. So give everyone a little bit of room. And if they are a new rider, give them a little bit more space than you would someone who's more experienced. And also you'll be able to tell that when you're behind someone, if they're going from side to side and they're really moving their head a lot while they're talking, you might want to give that person some space too, because if you're very close to that tire, as they move their bike, they could take your front tire out with their rear wheel. So just be careful of that. We want to try to be nice and steady when riding in group, so holding a steady line. And so that just means not swerving all over the road. You're going to have to move for obstacles for sure, but you want to try and ride as steady and straight as possible. Now we got to think too that we are all responsible for each other. So don't think you're out there for yourself. The lead cyclist has an important job, especially if you have a lot of riders behind you. And the cool thing about being the lead cyclist is that you get to see the whole road. So you have a clear view of what's coming. You can see any obstacles ahead. And so it's the responsibility of the lead cyclist to point out obstacles that are coming up and then to relay that information backwards. So then so I might say a signal like car back, and then I want that signal or that communication to be carried throughout the group backwards, backwards, backwards. Just because a lead cyclist says it once, don't assume that everyone in the group has heard it. Just keep carrying that information backwards. Communication is very important, and we need to be loud. And I know some of you guys are not very loud people, and some of you are very loud. And when we're outside, sometimes your voice can't carry very well. So you need to be loud. You want to make sure that people can hear you. So the two most important things that we need to talk about, or two commands, are car up and car back. And what car up means is a car is approaching from the front. And it just tells you, kind of, wake up guys, a car is coming, and move over to the right. And the same thing, if someone yells car back, that means everyone move over to the right because a car is coming up from the rear. And say it nice and loud, just so go car up and then car back. So just make sure that you know that the cars are approaching. Hand signals. Okay, I keep this very simple. If you're turning left, you point with your left arm to the left. If you're turning right, you point with your right arm to turn right. Now, if you're going to stop or slow down, what you do is you take your hand and you place it backwards, just like on this far figure here. So his hand is just facing backwards. So that can mean stopping or slowing. So if a rider in front of you does that, just get prepared to stop or slow down. Here's some more hand signals as well. And so you can see on the far left hand side, this could be slowing as well. So very similar to the other one. And you want to point out the hazards. So just take your finger and just make a pointing gesture at, say, if there's a rock or if there's a hole. It just identifies people behind you. There's something coming up and you want to stay away from it. If you look at this last figure here on the right side, what's happening here is kind of like a waving action. So you're going to have your hand to the side and just kind of go back and forth a bit. What that waving action signifies is that there's going to be some loose gravel, or maybe the road's going to be kind of sketchy. So maybe it could be broken up a bit. It just means that the road's not very safe over there. Give yourself a little bit of caution and be careful. Communicate down the line. So as I already mentioned, if the leader signals something, please pass that signal down to your riders so that they're aware of the upcoming hazards as well. So don't assume that everyone can see it, because lots of times their heads are down, or they're looking a different way, or just keep signaling the command from the front all the way back to the back. Okay, this is a cool picture that I found last night on the internet. It kind of shows you what I mean by no overlapping wheels. So here we have a group of 6 cyclists, and you can see we have a lead cyclist here in the green, and then we have rider Y, and this guy here, rider X. You can see that he's overlapping his wheels between rider Y and the guy in blue, which is not so good. So what happens, you can see what I mean? So this tire here is almost halfway between this tire. So if rider Y, say if he has an obstacle up here and he has to go to the right, if he swerves to the right, he's going to go over and his back tire is going to take out that tire. So that's why we don't want to have overlapping wheels. You need to have some space there so that the rider in front of you has space to go back and forth. This is just another kind of a picture to show you what I mean as well. On here on the left hand side, you can see that the second rider is overlapping the first rider. You can see that? So you don't want to be riding like that. You want to be right behind here. Again, so that if the lead rider moves back to the left, not back, but moves to the side, to the left, to the right, that rider will not take out your wheel. Okay. This is one of my rules I like to have you guys all follow. Is that I know pace lines are lots of fun, and most of us have Aerobars, but we are not professional cyclists, believe it or not. I know we feel like it sometimes, but we're not. And so that when we're in a pace line like this, I don't want the first person can be in the aero position, but the riders behind, I do not want to see you guys in the aero position. The reason being is because it's not safe enough. You cannot get your arms or your hands from the aero bars to the brakes in time. So please, if you're going to be riders 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're close like this, do not be in the aero bar position. Okay, this one here is called drop back. You want to watch for the drop back during climbs. What that means is, say if I'm riding behind someone and we're coming up to a hill. So once the lead rider starts to go up the hill, sometimes what you'll see is that back tire is going to drop back a bit. It may drop back a foot or two just because the incline goes up, and if you're behind, you're drafting, you're going a little bit quicker and it's easier, and if you don't give that lead rider that extra space, then when he drops back, that tire can actually bump into your front tire. So get ready for that. So anticipate that. So if you know there's a hill coming up, just think to yourself, okay, I might get a little bit of a drop back from this lead rider. I'm going to give him a little extra space so that doesn't happen. And this will, you'll also find this really happen when the lead rider starts to stand up. So if the climb gets really steep, just give that person a little extra space. Okay, now let's talk about some etiquette in the group. So some things that I didn't put on, I just thought of now. One thing that I think is quite important. I know that we're working hard out there, and sometimes our nose starts to run. I get that, but sometimes people like to clear their nose. Now a good tip is it's called either a cyclist blow or a farmer blow, and people clear their nostrils. And if you're going to do that, I'm okay with you doing that. But don't do it if someone's right behind you. I mean, that's really gross. You don't want to get in the spray. Yeah, that's happened to me a couple times. So please, let's not blow on the coach. All right. Etiquette. So one thing when you're in a group like this, let's watch your speed. So you want to keep your speed steady. So on your bike computer, we all have bike computers, watch your speed. So say if you're going, 25 or 30 or 40 kilometers an hour, you want to keep that steady so that when it's your turn to go to the front, you keep that speed the same. Now you want to spin your legs. You're not working that hard. You want to try and spin your legs so you have a nice free circular motion. And I like to get people to aim for 90 to 95 RPM when you're spinning in a group. Now try to avoid using your brakes. So avoid using your brakes. So if you do need to slow down, sit up and use your body as your brake, or just gently touch the brakes. You don't, because if you put too much brakes on when you're a group like that, we can really get a lot of crashes and people can jam into the back of you. So if you're going to use your brakes, use them very carefully. The key thing when you're riding in a group, just think steady, steady, steady. This is not a race. This is not a hammer fast. It's just a way for us to stay together and ride easier. So just think steady, steady. If you need to drink or if you need to eat, then I want you to do that by being at the back of the bus. So you're going to be at the back of the pace line. So that's the safest way, just in case if you take your water bottle out and if you drop it, then no one's going to run over it. But if you're in the front, say if I'm leading the pace line, I take out the water bottle and I drop it on the ground, and then there could be 5 or 6 people running over it, and they could end up in the ditch. So it's not safe for the lead rider to be drinking or eating. If you need to do that, give some space and go to the back of the bus. Okay, so when we are in a group, really the pace line that we're going to do is the simple single file pace line, and it's very simple. So let's imagine we got how many riders here? We got 6 riders. So you want to take turns at the front. So if you can communicate throughout the group saying, okay, let's take 1 to 2 or 3 minute pulls at the front, and watch your time so that when your turn is up, then you get over. So watching your time is important because everyone wants to have time at the front. It's kind of hard to, unless you're a super rider, no one wants to take the front, go ahead. But usually people like to have a turn at the front. So try not to be hogging the front line too much. Now, all right, so how this works is the lead rider up here, once his turn is done, he needs to first signify to the rider behind that his turn is done. And usually what happens is the person in the front is in the aero position or down in the drop. So they're riding, in a good aero position. So when they're done, what I like to see you guys do, I want the lead rider to sit up. So that signifies to the person behind, okay, he's starting to sit up. That means his job at the front is done. When his job at the front is done, the person in the front, I want you to do a shoulder check to the left and make sure it's safe to go over. So you're slightly moving over. I don't want you to move too far over to the left. Just move over enough so that the riders can ride up to the right of you. I see a lot of people that when they're done the front, they go way over to the lane, and sometimes traffic is coming, and that is not safe at all. So first of all, do a shoulder check, make sure it's safe, and then slowly move over. And don't move over too much. And once the lead rider moves over, I want you to slow down. Don't maintain your same speed so that the riders have to pick up to pass you. Your job is to slow down so that the group can pass you. And so if you look here, this guy's moved over. He's going to slow down, and he's going to stay there until this train passes him, and then he's going to sneak in behind at the rear of this pace line. Okay, what else have I kind of got off track of reading here? Let's see. One thing you want to do too, I know this is difficult sometimes, but avoid letting big gaps form. So that means, say if you're in the 3rd position here and you're getting tired, you might have like a 2 or 3 person gap here. Once gaps form, they're hard to really fill up. So say if the lead rider is coming back here and there's a gap, then that lead rider can actually fill that gap instead of going all the way back to the bus. Now the key thing here too is, okay, so say if you're riding along, the pace line is going, just for a number, 35 kilometers an hour. The lead rider is feeling the full force of the wind, so he's doing the hardest work. Now once his job is done, he's going to move over to the left, and this second rider is fresh. So just because you're fresh, I don't want you to pick up the pace from 35 to 40. I want you to keep the pace the same. So keep that speed the same at 35. Okay, so don't go hammering, and that's where we get trouble with the pace line, is the person, when it's their turn, they want to go crazy. Don't go crazy. Watch your cadence, keep your cadence the same, and keep the speed the same. This is not time to hammer, okay, and drop the group. So I think that should be enough information about the single file pace line. Okay, follow the rules of the road. I know that sometimes we are out in not populated areas, but a lot of times there are cars around. And if you see a stop sign there, I want you to stop. So stop means stop. Stay right. So this is actually a really good picture of the group riding here. And so you can see there's a white line, and most people are right to the right of that. So everyone's doing a really good job. But you don't want to be too far right. Like you don't want to be, I don't know if you can see my mouse here or not, but you don't want to be right on the edge. Because if you're riding right on the edge and there's an obstacle and you got to move to the right, there's no place for you to go but into the ditch. So ride like this road here, there's not much of a shoulder. So I would ride, right here where this lady's at the back. That's a perfect spot there. And it doesn't matter where we're riding, I want you guys to stay to the right. And all the roads usually have a yellow line down the middle, designated the center line. I don't want you guys to cross that. Please stay to the right of the center line. We should not be taking over the whole road. There's nothing that's going to get the vehicles upset with us if we take over the whole road. So please stay to the right. Let's keep the group size small. This is actually a really big group. But let's try to keep the groups size small, like between 6 or 7. And I like to have them smaller so that it's easier for vehicles to pass. Because if we have a big group like this, sometimes cars don't know what to do. So if we can keep it smaller and tight together, then it's easier for the vehicles to pass. Now also, say if we get multiple groups, so say if we get 3 groups of 6 or 7, that's still upwards of almost 20 people. Leave a gap. Let's see if I get my mouse here. Leave a gap here so that it's separated. So again, the vehicles it's easier for the vehicles to pass us. Okay, I want you to avoid riding side by side. Now this is actually an awesome picture from last summer. You can see I'm riding side by side here. The reason why I'm riding side by side is we're on a country road and there's no roads. Sorry, there's no traffic. So I know that we're totally safe. But if you're riding down, a road that's pretty well trafficked, please don't ride side by side like this. It's really going to annoy the cars behind you. And if you look back here at the group, you can see how wide the group is spread out. So we're starting to take over the road, which is not such a good thing. But again, this is a very quiet road, so it was okay to do that. But if it's a well-trafficked road, this back here would not be acceptable at all. Everyone should be riding a single file pace line. Cornering. This is just a little cycling tip for you guys so that when we are riding with the group, and if we do happen to go around a corner, really it's a simple thing to think about, but sometimes we forget. So if we're turning to the left like I am here, you want to keep your inside leg up, or your inside knee up, or your inside foot, however you want to think about it. See, so I'm turning left, and so my inside leg, which is my left leg, is up. The reason you want that up is because if you're turning left and my left leg is down, there's a good chance that my pedal could hit the ground. And if my pedal hits the ground, or if I'm pedaling throughout it, my back tire here can skip out and down I go, and my rest of my day is going to be miserable because I'm going to have road rash. So again, if you're turning to the right side, your inside leg, which is going to be your right leg, is going to be up. So keep that in mind when you're cornering. And if we're in a group, there's no need to pedal throughout a corner. Okay, half wheeling. What is half wheeling? So when you're riding side by side, try to keep the same speed as the rider beside you. There's no need to keep pushing the pace by staying a half a wheel in front. So on this left picture here, you can see what that is. So that's also overlapping wheels too. So if this person moves, there's a good chance he'll take that rider out. But if you are riding side by side like that, keep your tires equal in place. And I know that some people like to push the pace by doing that, but try to keep your pace steady, and if not, then go to the front and lead the pace line. So there's a picture of me and Tyler. We're doing a perfect job here. Our wheels are side by side. Okay, this is a great picture. I want you guys to be very aware. We need to use your ears and we need to listen for vehicles, not listening to your favorite music songs. Okay, so I don't want you riding with earbuds on. I do know that sometimes I've had people, myself included, I've taken my iPhone and I put it in my bike in the front just to listen to some music going up a hill when it's really hard. I don't mind doing that, but I want you guys to be really attentive. So no earbuds allowed when you're riding, please. No fooling around, especially in a group. I want you guys to be very focused on what you're doing. Remember, you're responsible for people around you, so we all want to get home safely. And if we're fooling around, there's a good chance that accidents will happen. Okay, so none of this. What is this called? A Superman? So no Supermans. Okay, and also, I don't want you guys, I know we're riding, sometimes you ride in super amazing places, and please don't take photos while you're riding. We have had crashes due to this in the past, and it's always an embarrassing story. Oh, what happened to you? I was taking a picture with my cell phone and I crashed in the ditch. So that's not something you want to write home about. So please don't fool around. If you want to take a picture, just pull over, take a nice picture, and then catch up to the group. Or maybe we'll have a group photo at some spot. But don't fool around and no pictures. Okay, last but not least, I want you guys to have fun. So we're out there, we're enjoying each other's company, we're getting fit, we're enjoying the sunshine. Hopefully it's a nice warm day. And, just remember to have fun and enjoy the scenery. So guys, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me blabber about all these rules and etiquette. Uh, I thank you very much because it's going to make our group rides that much better. So I can't wait to see you guys on the next group ride. Thank you and happy cycling.